Yes, a bounty match. And Eddie Mansfield is up there waving around a fistful of money. And I think he's using it to try to inspire Buck Robley. Whether he's got the entire $5,000 in that mid of his, I don't know. But he is walking around with a handful of money. And Scott Casey looks very solemn, very serious, as Buck Robley, with that wild look on his face, listens to Kozak. But Casey is trying to make sure that before this match starts, that Eddie Mansfield is ushered out of the ropes and into the ringside. And I think Mansfield is trying to improve his own position relative to Casey's leaving town. Of course, what has got to happen, of course, is that Buck Robley's got to do something to Casey to either discourage him or to either injure him enough so that he would be able to wrestle, and that would probably bring him the money. It's not always as easy as it looks. And the twist is on the arm of Scott Casey as Buck Robley comes in there to drive that elbow of his into the big arm of Scott Casey. We've got noise all over the building here as some of the fans are shouting for Chavo to come and help Scott Casey. Some of them are hollering for Manny Fernandez to come and help him. And Scott Casey now, with good work, with an arm and hip lock, managed to spill Buck Robley down onto that canvas and do it solidly. And as Scott Casey finds the tender spots, he's got Robley in trouble, and there's no bounty on Robley's head, but there is one on Scott, so as long as he stays in front of him. This match has a one fall, 30-minute time limit, and with Robley caught, and caught solidly, that left arm wrapped up in the legs of Scott Casey. You see Robley moving around now to try to double him up or to maneuver past the watchful eye of referee Nick Kozak. And Robley, with that grin of great delight on his face, surveys the last effort to get out of that hold. He got a knee across Scott's face, and Scott's in trouble right now. And Robley's not going to be satisfied just with pinning him. Now, next Friday night, Scott Casey, if he has not run out of town, is going to have Chavo Guerrero and Manny Fernandez as his partners. They're going to go up against Mansfield, who is outside that ring, and Robley, and Big Tank Patton in a 6-man, 2-ring tag team event. A match that has only been seen here in Houston, was invented here in Houston, and is the most exciting thing you can see in wrestling today. So Casey's in trouble. Robley starts to follow him up. The crotch hold, the lift, the slam, and Casey catches another one right across the throat. That's the hard way to catch that blow, but he caught it. And as Casey maneuvers around onto his face into a better defensive position, he is not much better off. Robley looks pretty pleased with himself. him a tremendous clout. A hard, smashing blow. And Robley looking at Eddie Mansfield with delight as Mansfield raises up a fistful of greenbacks, and Robley smells the scent of money. Now the fans are howling for Casey, but Casey right now is not yet ready to go to bat. He is in trouble. He caught that right across the face, right smack across the face, and that can loosen your teeth for sure. So Casey's caught in the ropes. A handful of nose and a handful of mouth as he covers up. The 5-minute mark has been reached as Casey takes a bashing up against the turnbuckle. And now he uncorks to find the ribs of Buck Robley. And Robley puts a stop to that with that driving forearm. And he caught him right in the whiskers. Oh, a good shot. He come out there beautifully. And now Robley is going to have trouble. Scott Casey recovering. And listen to the crescendo of noise rise here in the Coliseum. And Casey senses his opportunity. Belted him right smack on the button. Guillotine drop, and there goes Casey to drive it in there, and he is now about to make Eddie Mansfield eat his money. Scott caught a thumb in the eye that time. That's what put a stop to his aggressive instincts that were swarming all over Buck Robley. The colonel came around there, not to salute him, he just come up and stuck his thumb in his eye. Headbutt. Ooh, that'd bring you down to your knees fast. Casey's hanging on to his trunks. That's why he was able to maintain an erect position and not go down. So Casey trying to get into position to retaliate and manages to make it. Now you're seeing two wrestlers in action here now. You're going to be seeing 16 in one ring next Friday night. Keep that in mind, 16. Buck Robley, on the front of his shirt it says, "Nobody calls me yellow." Well, nobody has called him yellow here. And Scott's adherents are screaming in his favor. Casey's shoulders are close. Japanese leg lock is literally standing him on his head, but more important, it's standing him on his shoulders. And in wrestling, that is tough. So Nick Kozak watched closely, but he did not get the count, that fateful 3. He got him right smack in the kisser. Oh, a magnificent wallop. Punishing blows. Trying to raise a Charlie horse. Trying to get that leg into a condition where Scott Casey won't be able to use it. He's got a figure 4 leg lock on the left leg of Scott Casey. And Casey is trying to relieve some of that pressure by getting his right leg up there to try to make it work. There it is, the right foot trying to change Robley's complexion, but with him any change would be an improvement. And now Casey manages to get up and get back into the giving instead of the taking. And having trouble with that left leg. He stuck it around there, but Robley was onto his P's and Q's that time, and he hands Scott Casey a tough blow to withstand, a tough blow. So Casey catches it from the outside and the edge of that ring, and now Buck Robley is sniffing the money. He comes in here with renewed vigor and goes after the leg. And as Buck Robley drives it into that leg, he's aiming for the knee, throwing his knee in there. Now he starts chanting out here to try to tell us at the microphone what's happening. And the Casey's bottled up in the corner. He's got a right to get some moving room. He's got it, but he's in a bad spot. Now he's got to protect himself. 10 minutes have gone by. 20 minutes remain in this match as Buck Robley comes over to get an inside bar toe hold on Scott Casey. Robley in a good position to apply the pressure as he wraps his own legs around Scott's leg and then rises up. He is able to push against the leg just above the ankle, and he's got a lot of pressure in there. Scott Casey trying to use his head in there, banging away at the solar plexus of Buck Robley, and the Colonel had to release his grip. Now those are the kind of things that ruin ligaments, that damage bone, and certainly give you a Charlie horse in the muscle. Figure four leg lock as Robley comes in there to pour it to Scott Casey. Now the fans start to get behind Scott Casey. They give him that staccato clapping. They give him that support, that applause. And these wrestling fans are pro Casey all the way. Squared off and drove him back that time. And outside, Eddie Mansfield with that towel around his head hides the emotions of his face. And Casey now has perhaps his best chance since this match started. Caught him right solidly, and he goes for the pin. There's one, there's two, and Buck Robley manages to crawl out from underneath. Hard exchange, hard exchange. And Casey blocked that blow and got in a magnificent effort. Crotcho lift and the atomic drop. Again, Casey's position improves, and the crowd here boos Eddie Mansfield as he tries to get Buck Robley up on his feet and starts screaming, waving the money. Sleep hold. This is Scott Casey's best hold. This is the hold with which he wins the majority of his matches. Nobody calls me yellow, it says on the front of that yellow t-shirt. But it's Scott Casey who is going to call him sleepy if he can. But notice Robley driving him back into the turnbuckle. A lot of ways to get out of holds. That one is legal. Surprising that Robley used it. Going for a small package. He's got him turned. He's got him wrapped up. He's got him tied up. And in comes Eddie Mansfield. And the drop kick put a stop to it. And Scott Casey is again having problems. Eddie Mansfield belonged outside that ring, and he came into the ring to his sorrow. He caught it from Scott Casey, but Casey's got more troubles. Casey is bleeding from the wallop given to him by Eddie Mansfield, but he is also now down. He is pinned. He is ready.
13 minutes and 42 seconds. Colonel Buck Robley.
Well, Colonel Buck Robley took the fall, but they are not satisfied that they have put Scott Casey out, and Casey now is not in a position to defend himself, but he is being blasted by one man while somebody else holds him, and this crowd is screaming for for somebody to come in here. They are looking for Chavo Guerrero or somebody to come in, and Eddie Mansfield catches it. And here is Scott Casey ready to clear the ring and defend himself. And now as he gets hold of Eddie Mansfield, he starts to hand him something to worry about. Scott Casey in great fashion, but he is bleeding, the blood running down his face into his eyes, blinding him, and he's defended his honor. And you, I suppose, since you can't beat Scott Casey yourself, you've got to go around here and try to inspire somebody else to do it.
Mr. Bosch, I beat Scott Casey in every kind of match that bogus cowboy ever wanted. And let me tell you something. With the sick and devious one, he's the sickest man in professional wrestling. I don't want to have to dirty my hands with Scott Casey. That's the reason Charlie Manson has took a back seat. This is the sickest man in the world right here, Paul Bosch.
No, I think you are, because you're the man that's trying to get him to do something he shouldn't do and do it for money.
Don't you try to entice me with $27,000, Mr. Bosch.
22.
But I know there's 22 when I win the Battle Royal, plus there's a $5,000 added incentive, but I said, don't use that money to lure me into Texas. Because just on drive alone.
They're saying yellow, yellow, yellow.
They're going, go, Buck, go.
Yellow, yellow.
But Mr. Bosch, next week, I'm going to win that big 2-ring Battle Royal. I'm going to take your $22,000. But you know also that there is a six-man tag.
Double ring.
Got two jumping beans in there, plus that idiot I just beat up. You know, I put a country whipping on him, Mr. Bosch, and you know, I toyed with him. I toyed with him like a cat would toy with a mouse.
Why don't you take your two mice here and take them out of here?
People better buy your tickets early, because you're going to see Scott Casey's last match in Houston.
May I tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, that we next Friday night are going to have fireworks, we're going to have action, we're going to have everything. But let's call over Scott, I don't think you should stay here. I think you ought to go back to the dressing room.
Let me just say a couple of things, Paul. Eddie Mansfield, Buck Robley, and Tank Patton, if you think you're going to collect $5 grand from me just because you cut my head open, you got another thing coming. Misery loves company, that's why the three of you are together. Well, I've got two of the dearest people in the world standing next to me, and everybody out there in the world knows who they are. Manny Fernandez and Chavo Guerrero, the Mexican Connection. They're going to team up with a cowboy, and you guys are going to get your butts kicked the way they should have been kicked a long time ago.
Okay, thank you.
Well, you know, Paul, it's hard to be a wanted man. Those things went out with, with the Outlaws and all that. Now they're putting up a bounty on this man here. I don't think it's fair, but the man has asked for our help, and Manny and I, with the Mexican Connection here that we are, we're going to get out there, we're going to do it. Eddie Mansfield, if you think that cutting your hair humiliated you, well, you haven't seen anything till you mess with the Mexican Connection. Now, let me tell you something. We're still after Gino and Tully, but we're just going to kind of side pass a little bit to help our friend Scott. And the most important thing about it is it's going to be in a 2-ring. 2 rings, so we got a lot of room to play with, and that's what we like. We like to have a lot of room to play with, and that's what's going to happen right here.
Español.
Español, cómo no, con mucho gusto, señor Bosch. Va a ser 3 contra 3, unos relevos australianos, una lucha de las más peligrosas, en donde va a ir Manny Fernández, Chavo Guerrero y Scott Casey contra Tank Patton, Colonel Buck Robley y Eddie Mansfield. Le han puesto una fianza, has puesto una fianza en la cabeza de Scott Casey, lo quieren lastimar. Él ha pedido la ayuda de Manny Fernández, de su servidor, y se la vamos a dar porque la conexión mexicana, para eso él nos ha ayudado, ahora nosotros lo vamos a ayudar a él. Así es que aquí los esperamos, va a ser en 2 rings. Un ring va a estar aquí, el otro va a estar aquí, y va a haber mucho campo que jugar. Y allí los vamos a usar como pelota, como sea. Pero algo sí les prometo, amigos, que la conexión mexicana va a salir avante y con la ayuda de ustedes que siempre nos han dado, pues qué más podemos decir más que viva México y aquí nos vemos en Houston.
Manny?
You know, Mr. Botts, when we got this Mexican connection together, we came here for a reason. Now it seems a good friend of ours, the cowboy, he wants some help. Well, here's the connection. These people have messed with us. They've tried every which way to try to hurt us, but you can't hurt the connection. We're coming down for one thing. We're going to give them a good hiney kicking, a Mexican-style whooping. And when we get done, we're going to stick them where the sun don't shine no more because, baby, we came to take care of business, and business is going to be taken care of.
Thank you. Manny, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Chavo, good luck.